Welcome to today's Global Connections program. I'm Bill Miller. Today we're going to be talking with a very interesting person who is an author, a public speaker, and a fundraising consultant, and someone who's really devoted a large part of his life to celebrating international travel and literature and developing cross-cultural relationships. I want to welcome Mark Walker to today's Global Connections program. Mark, welcome.
Thank you, Bill. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you to Global Connections.
I appreciate you being with me. Thank you so very much. We've got a lot to cover here. You and I have very similar backgrounds in that we were both in the United States Peace Corps. And if we think back really to 1961, President John F. Kennedy launched the Peace Corps. It was really an innovative idea, and it was something that captured the imagination of not only young people, but I think people all around the country and many people around the world. And today we see the Peace Corps is still operating. And it was basically set up to provide technical assistance to people in economically developing countries, to tell them about what America was like, and to bring that third goal of Peace Corps home and to share it with our neighbors, our friends, our family, and to build upon that unique international experience. Mark, first off, where were you in the Peace Corps and why did you join the Peace Corps?
Well, this was the early 70s, the counterculture period of time, a lot of protests going on Vietnam, and I was not a big fan of that war at the time, and I had an opportunity to do something international, and I've always been driven and involved with not-for-profit activities and peace-related activities, so the Peace Corps seemed to be a great place. I ended up going to Puerto Rico for training and then Costa Rica for agricultural training. I was part of a agricultural seed program. We did seed fertilizer experiments in the highlands of Guatemala, and I chose the most isolated site that was available, a place called Ishi Juan at over 10,000 feet, the highest municipal area in the entire country. And for the first year, I was working with wheat and potato related programs. It was a great experience, but as oftentimes happens, I came down with a really nasty intestinal infection. Now, the Peace Corps had told me if I got ill, they'd medevac me and send up a helicopter, and that wouldn't be a problem. Well, I was in bed for 2 days. I couldn't get up. And I had forgotten that the only telephone in town didn't work. And that particular day, the only telegraph didn't work. So I was stuck. Fortunately, Doña Marta, who prepares the meals for me, I go to her home each day, realized that I wasn't around. She came with 2 of her women friends, and they found me, and they used their local medicinal medicines and took care of me, broke the temperature. I was delirious at the time. I didn't know where I was. And within 3 days, I was good to go. I got up, I hiked up the side of the mountain for about an hour, got the only bus to Guatemala City. And unfortunately, the Peace Corps was not impressed by that set of circumstances. They didn't want to lose any volunteers. So they ended up sending me to Baja Verapaz. And after about 2 weeks, I saw a really attractive young lady riding down the middle of the street on a white horse. She had strawberry blonde hair and green eyes. She was Guatemalan. I asked my friend Adolfo, now who's that? And he said, she is way too hot for you, gringo. But within a week or so, I convinced him to introduce me. And Lika was to be my wife, and we ended up having 3 kids, and we've been married for over 44 years. So it was a consequential time for me, and it was really the way I kicked off my career. We also went to Honduras.
The rest is history.
Fertilizer projects there as well.
We'll get into those. We'll get into your family too. And as they say, the rest is history. The Peace Corps has had many slogans over the years. One is the toughest job you'll ever love. And I can vouch for it and you can vouch for it. We've all been through that. You had a little more of a medical scare than I ever did while I was there, but certainly was a challenging experience, and it shaped our lives to help us move down an international career path. Well, we've got a video that you've got on your website, and I'll just mention your website. Well, first off, let me mention the Peace Corps website in the event some of our viewers would like to go to. It's www.peacecorps.gov. And then your website, which I'm sure many people would like to check it out, is the millionmilewalker.com. We'll get it right. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Millionmilewalker.com. Okay. And we have about a 5-minute video, and this will really give us more insight as to how you got involved in the Peace Corps and what you got out of it. So let's go to the video.
George Bernard Shaw once wrote, "What is life but a series of inspired follies? The difficulty is to find them to do. Never lose a chance. It doesn't happen that often." That astute observation became a lifelong mantra. My first major folly occurred following 2 years as a Peace Corps volunteer in the highland of Guatemala. I had fallen in love with a Guatemalan girl, Ligia, and before she could ask, "Donde vas a viajar?" I had packed my backpack and headed out alone on a 4-month trek through Latin America. Crazy? Yes. Life-affirming and formative? Most definitely. And I believe I'm living proof of Mark Twain's quip, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness." Much of that trip and the 2 years living in Guatemalan villages as a volunteer is the heart of my book, Different Latitudes, My Life in the Peace Corps and Beyond. The memoir describes my experiences living and traveling abroad as a curious, naive young man, and it represents the start of a 40-year career as a do-gooder. I would like to defend that often disparaged description. Larissa McFarger describes do-gooders as different and ordinary because they're willing to weigh their flags and their families in a balance with the needs of strangers. I must plead guilty. A snapshot of my career would include 15 years working in the field in Latin America and Africa with such groups as CARE and Plan International. And then over the next 30 years, taking volunteers from all parts of the world to places like Guatemala, Honduras, Bolivia, Ecuador, Nepal, and even Indonesia. After several years as the CEO of Hagar, which works with survivors of human trafficking, I decided to share my stories and motivate others to take up the mantle to meet the needs of the poorest. So in 2016, I set up my company, Million Mile Walker, as my writing and advocacy platform. Over the years, books have been my constant companion, whether I've been traveling or working. Since writing my memoir, I've published a series of articles about travel, immigration, and world literature, which have appeared in Worldview, as well as Scarlet Leaf Review, among other publications. I've had the pleasure to meet many authors and publishers during my writing phase of my career, including the godfather of travel writing, Paul Theroux. Theroux's also a fellow returned Peace Corps volunteer. He suggested the theme for my next article, Ramon and Moritz, a partnership on the Black Coast. I've written more than 50 book reviews, some of which can be found on my column, The Million Mile Walker Review, What We're Reading and Why, as well as the Midwest Review Bookshelf and Goodreads. I'm also a contributing writer for the Review magazine, a Guatemalan English language publication. Another article, Guatemala, Trouble in the Highlands, is being transformed into a documentary with the help of several returned Peace Corps volunteers, including award-winning director-cinematographer Al Rifkin. Our documentary will bring stories of Guatemalan migrants, both here in the U.S. as well as in Guatemala. For those of you who might want to learn more about this timely project, go to www.guatemalastory.net. And you can follow my Million Mile Walker update on my website. Please join me in the remarkable like-minded people I write about life-affirming examples of people who contribute their talents to create a more equal and just world. And make sure the follies you might commit eventually contribute to the common good.
Mark, that was a really interesting video that you have, and we can certainly see how it puts you on the path that you're on today. You've also been involved in another organization, that's Rotary International. And Rotary International has about 1.2 million members. It was established in 1905 by Paul Harris in Chicago, Illinois. It was really the first service organization, international service organization, I would say, in the world. And it's just remarkable. Today, it's in over 200 countries and territories. How did you decide to get involved in Rotary, and how has Rotary helped shape your life?
Two things. First off, it was really a natural place for me to go because the focus on Rotary is service above self, and that's why I joined the Peace Corps. And secondly, I had gotten my first major position as a country director for Plan International in Bogota, Colombia. And Rotary is a tremendous network of professionals on all different levels. They know who knows what. They can help you get into government agencies to get deal with the bureaucracy and figure out where to generate resources and that sort of thing. So it was a natural place for me to go. Over the years, I've been a member of 6 different clubs in different parts of the world. I was a past president of the club here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and what they call World Community Service Chair for our district for 3 different years. And all 3 of my children were Rotary Youth Exchange students. 2 went to Germany, 1 went to France, and we went to Europe with them to visit with their families. It was a fabulous experience. So Rotary has definitely influenced us. And I got involved in a number of overseas programs. One of them was in Cochabamba, Bolivia, a clean water program. And I'm proud to say that I received the highest award from the Rotary Foundation, which is the Service Above Self Award. There were only 123 of us in the world out of 1.2 million Rotarians at the time. So I was really proud of that recognition.
It's certainly a tremendous honor. It's a very unique award. It certainly is. And congratulations on securing it. Now, you are still actively involved in Rotary, and you're trying to bring Rotary, again, a very valuable international organization that does so much good in the world. And again, I don't want to forget to give Rotary a plug, but our viewers can go to their website at www.rotary.org. Now, you have also interlaced with that group, and you're involved with a group called Partnering for Peace. What is the Partnering for Peace, and what is the connection between Rotary and the Peace Corps, the fact that you're a returned Peace Corps volunteer?
Well, Partnering for Peace is one of 180 affiliate organizations. And really the focus of the organization is to promote the partnership between Rotary and Partnering for Rotary and the Peace Corps. And we have about 65 members at this time. And really the members are the key to identifying what are the best programs, examples of model programs overseas that other Rotary clubs with involvement of the Peace Corps can get involved with. So really our members are boots on the ground all over the world. We're always trying to identify more Rotarians that want to get involved with overseas programs, and also returned Peace Corps volunteers that would like to become Rotarians.
That's a great combination, and they all have an interest. They maybe have similar or dissimilar backgrounds, but they all have an interest. Well, you're watching Global Connections Television, which is a privately funded, independently produced program. The opinions expressed on Global Connections are solely those of the moderator and his guest. We'd encourage our viewers to go to our website at www.globalconnectionstelevision.com to view previous programs. Also, if you're involved with the PBS or community access television station, or perhaps an educational institution that has an intra-campus television hookup, or you just have a website, you like our program, you have a computer, you like our program, and you'd like to share it, please feel free to do so. Global Connections Television is provided at no cost as a public service to help people around the world better understand international issues and how they impact our lives. Today, we're talking with Mark Walker. Mark is an extremely interesting person. He bills himself as an author, as a public speaker, and as a fundraising consultant. And he is a very active Rotarian and also a returned Peace Corps volunteer. Mark, we were talking about the Partnering for Peace. How does, well, I mentioned the website, so let me just put that one out, www.partneringforpeace.org. People can join Rotary. People can become members of the U.S. Peace Corps. They can do a variety of things. Who can join Partnering for Peace? How do you become a member?
Well, it's very easy. The membership's only $20 a year. You just go to our website and you can become a member. We're basically looking for individuals who are Rotarians, and we're always looking for returned Peace Corps volunteers who want to join Rotary clubs as well. So it's a combination. Rotarians, returned Peace Corps volunteers make up the majority of our members.
I mentioned earlier that you're an author, and I guess it's your recent book is Different Latitudes, My Life in the Peace Corps and Beyond. What is this book about? We heard a little bit about it during the video, but what's it about, and how does it tie into cross-cultural issues?
Well, first off, it's about an engaging story of one man's physical and spiritual journey to self-discovery through Latin American, Africa, European, and Asian topography, cuisine, politics, and history. According to the Midwest Review, they consider it informative, compelling, impressive, candid, and they recommend it for community academic libraries and for Peace Corps history related activities. So this was a book. It took me about a year to write it. And as far as it talks a lot about different places I've worked around the world. I have a separate chapter on Rotary, another chapter on overseas development, a chapter on fundraising. I have a chapter on the history of Guatemala and why it's been such a problematic country over the years, a lot of violence, a lot of drug problems, etc. So the reason I wrote the book is I wanted it to become a platform for my work in international development, international understanding, and promoting peace-related activities. As far as the cross-cultural part of it, let me share one little piece from the book. Here it is. And it'll give you an idea about what happens when two people with different perspectives get together. This is what I call the she reconsider list, which if I had been more transparent with my wife, Lika, I might have told her a few basic things about what was in store for us together. First off, he'll constantly embarrass you in social settings with his horrendous grammar and constant use of foul language he picked up in various slums and rural settings. He won't file taxes because he hasn't made any money in 5 years. He won't even think about setting up a retirement fund. He'll take you home to his family in the middle of winter in Evergreen, Colorado, during the coldest part of the year. Every 3 years, he'll ask you to pack up your children and all your earthly belongings and move to a different country. His idea of fun is including visits of endless museums everywhere in the world, and he'll idolize extreme do-gooders that are unknown to anyone in the room and speak to them as if they're colleagues. I had one other little part of this list, and this was the she'd run screaming from the altar list. On our honeymoon, he'll include many 12-hour drives in a small Volkswagen Bug, which will almost be squashed between two trucks carrying dynamite. That was in Oaxaca, Mexico. He'll be threatened by local revolutionary guerrillas in Colombia, and you'll be given less than 3 days to pack up and leave the country with your 3 kids. And he'll take you to one country where green monkey disease, dengue, malaria, and other deadly ailments are commonplace. So those are a couple of the things that I reveal through my story that help people understand what cross-country cultural communications could be. Also, the book includes about 40 photographs, and at the very end of it, I found something that I think is going to be very helpful. And I put together, or the graphics department at ASU put together a timeline so you could keep track of what organization was I with. Was this when I was with CARE or World Neighbors, MAP International, Make-A-Wish International? And then there's a map. And this map is actually a Google map on my website. So you can go to each of the places I worked and traveled and where we lived, and it'll give background information on each one of those places. And
that is very helpful, extremely helpful.
I should mention that
yes,
the president of the National Peace Corps Association, Glenn Blumhorst, who is a returned Peace Corps volunteer from Guatemala, said it was one of the best memoirs that he had ever read.
Wonderful.
So I was pleased
Our
with
viewers can get more information on millionmilewalker.com. Go to that. Mark, we are down to about our last 30 seconds. What do you see as our major challenge today? Obviously we want to get through COVID-19. We're dealing with climate change. What do you see as our number one challenge?
Well, I think one of the real issues right now is, as a country, we need to deal with the issue of immigration. And one of my great concerns has been the amount of people forced out of Central America because of climate change, because of the lack of infrastructure, lack of schools, coming north to try to make a living, and the way that they've been misunderstood. And consequently, I linked up with another returned Peace Corps volunteer, award-winning cinematographer Hal Rifkin, and we're working on a documentary. And of course, COVID has stopped us from getting back down there to do the filming, but we're looking for some opportunities to identify some Mayan leaders in the highlands who will be the people that will be telling their story about why they left, who's in the United States, why they come back, and what are some of the solutions so that people don't have to go illegally into other countries to try to make a living.
It is a major problem. It's one's going to have to be dealt with along with these others. But Mark Walker, I want to thank you so very much for a very interesting and a very informative program.
Thank you, Bill. My pleasure. And thank you to Global Connections Television.
Thank you. I'm Bill Miller. Thank you for joining us today on Global Connections Television.